Well, second time in a year, almost a year to the day, I got laid off again. Twice in a year. And, what the fuck? What is anyone supposed to do? And they said, because of the economy is crap right now. So, we're gonna lay off a whole bunch of people again. And I already was struggling so hard, actually low-key, to even keep the current roof over my head. And now I have no idea how I'm even going to get through the next few hours. I just don't understand. But yeah, the economy is shit. America is shit right now. I feel like there's a really big plan for them to, tank this so that we have to rely on other things, other people. It's fucking shit. And I'm quite frankly tired of it. I'm tired of my livelihood being in other people's hands. And I have no idea how to fix that, but I'm going to, because this is just wild. And I'm fucking angry more than I am hurt or sad. I'm scared. I have no idea where any of my bills are gonna come from, the money. I'm more angry than anything because I just cannot even believe I used to be able to get a job like the week later if I got laid off. So I have no idea what's gonna happen, and I was really hoping at one point I would make money on TikTok, and I still only have 1,500 followers or whatever. So if you could just blow this up and let's get 10,000 followers plus whatever, because I might be homeless in a week or two if I can't figure it out. So yeah, I hope everyone is having a great Tuesday, a way better Tuesday than me. And if you have any tips, tricks, or whatever to help right now and get me through this, greatly appreciated. Yeah.
So picture this. You've given your company years of loyalty, late nights, weekends, sacrificing family time, only to wake up one morning and find out your job is gone. Not because, the company is broke, but because cutting your losses makes the stock price go up. Actually, that's the brutal reality of today's corporate layoffs. And so we'll dive into the commentaries, but before then, we'll just let some clips roll, and then we'll continue with the commentaries. Do want to subscribe if you've not, like the video, and keep your opinions coming on the comment section. I want to know what you think about these clips roll.
These are the federal workers who just found out they lost their jobs this morning. The State Department is laying off more than 1,300 employees this Friday. And behind me, you've got a rally going on as these workers walk out with pots in their hands and crowds are cheering and supporting them.
Yeah, so my entire team was affected by this. This is a sad day for democracy. It's a sad day for human rights.
These cuts are part of a major reorganization plan by the Trump administration. The administration says it's about streamlining and making the department more efficient. But critics argue that this will seriously weaken U.S. diplomacy at a time when global tensions are rising.
I just think it's a sad time for our institution at a time when, if anything, the State Department is needed more than ever.
I just got let go from my job as part of organizational shifts and return to office. As you guys know, I have been a remote employee for the past 5 years, really since the beginning of the pandemic. And I'm crying not because I'm sad that I got let go. Obviously, the instability of losing an income always sucks. What sucks most about being let go is somebody taking control out of your hands. I always preach internally and here at home that we have got to be the people in the driving seat of our futures, of our careers. And when a company takes that control out of your hands, it sucks, because all of a sudden the plan that you had, the roadmap that you were on board for, is gone. Now you've got to start over. And this is why you've always got to have a plan B, a plan C, and most importantly, an emergency fund. I am incredibly upset and frustrated. There have been several shifts in the company in this last couple of months that I just knew the writing was on the wall and I knew my time was coming. But the fact that we have an emergency fund, because ultimately that is what matters at the end of the day, is that we have money to pay our mortgage, to pay for our daycare. We have that as a fallback, and I can take time, maybe a week, to just collect my thoughts and put together a strategy for job hunting. Always be prepared for the unexpected, because ultimately companies will always put themselves first. And as much as you want to believe that you're part of the family, you like the people you work with, it's a business transaction. It's a business contract, and you've got to handle it as such. But please know that you are more than your job. You are more than what you do. Have a plan, have an emergency fund. Do not spend more than you need to. Live below your means. We are in strange times. That isn't beside me losing the job, just general messaging. Protect yourselves, treat yourself as a business, and always be looking for better opportunities, because companies would do the same, and they are.
So I was just laid off. I've never been fired or laid off before. So instead of waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work, I took my dogs hiking this morning. They're pretty stoked I'm laid off. They're enjoying this. Now they're pooped. I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no plan. My normal reaction right now would be to be freaking out and scrambling. But I'm not. If anything, I am at peace. And I just feel relieved. And it just goes to show how toxic some of these work environments can be. I don't think I would have quit. I think I would have just kept pummeling through day to day, waking up every Monday, just counting down the days, the minutes until Friday afternoon so I can breathe for a second before it all starts all over again. And I've found myself on this side of TikTok recently with people talking about how toxic these 9-to-5s can be, or whatever your job is, working for someone, how toxic it can become. And we all know the job market is just garbage right now, so that's fun. So I have no idea what I'm going to do. I can't believe I'm not freaking out. So I am going to create a series. Follow along. Let's see how this journey goes, because I have no idea.
I really don't think a lot of people in corporate America really understand what's going to happen over the next 12 to 18 months, particularly at really large corporate companies. They're calling it the Great Restructuring, and essentially what they're doing is looking at each position, each role within the company, and looking at what the processes are and seeing where the repetitive work is. And they're figuring out whether or not they can augment or even replace positions with technology, with AI. And so if you're doing a job that has a lot of repetitive tasks, or maybe you're working on a lot of cross-functional teams and you're working on projects that are taking years and years, companies are actively looking at how they can replace you. They're looking about how they can get the same amount of work or more work done with less people. You see, the most expensive part of any company is the people, and that's why we see these mass layoffs. And so over the next 12 to 18 months, we are going to continue to see large layoffs. So if you're working at a really big company, or you know someone who is, you need to pay attention to this. You need to figure out whether or not you're doing a lot of repetitive work. And if you are, you need to know that you are at high risk of getting laid off. It's absolutely crazy.
And Kroger is laying off 1,000 employees in the red state of Ohio. Cincinnati, Ohio is a red state that voted for this administration. Look at this. Kroger, grocery store chain, is laying off 1,000 people in this area. Right now, layoffs are rampant. Companies are losing billions because of tariffs. Companies are losing money because people are not shopping, because they're being laid off. People are afraid of what's going on in the economy. Yes, this is an economic crisis. A recession is coming, and maybe even something worse. If you did not know, there are over 7 million people unemployed right now in the United States. The second week of August, 235,000 new unemployed people hit the job. Layoffs are rampant. Please get your finances in order. Do not buy anything right now.
It is confirmed. My company just sent out an email that they are laying off a large group of people tomorrow morning. In case you're new here, I was laid off in March this year. It took me 6 months to find a new job. Got a new job 7 weeks ago, and now this new job has announced hundreds of layoffs. What am I supposed to do here? Is this like a last one in, first one out situation? Is it like get rid of all the like highest paid people? Is it like keep the new hires because they were hired under a secret pretense of like knowing that these layoffs would be coming, and so we like definitely want the new people? That's gotta be it, right? I'm not even eligible for my corporate benefits. That's how little time I've been at this new job. I'm not even eligible for PTO. I'm not eligible for medical benefits yet. I still have a week to go. You're telling me that I might get laid off before I even get a chance to sign up for that shit? Part of me is like, you can't control any of this, so just move forward, business as usual until it's not. And the other side of me is like, no, we care deeply about this, and this will affect our life, and we need to dive deep into every possible scenario over the next 24 hours. It's also weird because like they told us that the people who will be impacted by layoffs will be notified tomorrow morning, but now we just have like a day of work, and I'm like, so we're all just gonna keep working today? I just feel like if you're gonna lay hundreds of people off, like, do it. Just do it. Just do it now. Okay, well, I guess I'll just like get to work, assuming that the shit I'm doing actually matters, because it might not.
I am getting laid off in 3 hours. Have you ever been a part of a corporate layoff? Because it is fun. So here's what happens if you haven't been a part of it. Basically, someone will let you know that a whole bunch of fucking people got laid off, like at the top. And you'll be like, what? And then you'll start texting around with all your friends. And then the HR invites start to go out. They're like 15-minute slots. And so then begins hours of texting everyone you know. Did you get the HR invite? Did you get an HR invite? Are you safe? Is your meeting 15 minutes or is it like 30 minutes to an hour? Because that usually is a longer discussion about a transition into a new role, right? But the 15-minute ones are pretty fucking clear. It's like, hi, thanks a lot, see you later. So I got my 15-minute invite for noon today. Obviously broke out crying. Was kind of planning on leaving anyway. I think we all were. The writing was all on the wall. But, you know, bills. Money. I would love to sit around and do nothing, focus on self-care, you know, all that kind of shit. But instead, it will be a scramble to find the next source of a paycheck, and that sucks. It's a shitty feeling. I do have this feeling like it's gonna be okay. I do get that when I'm someone where It's harder for me with the potential of a threat. Then I panic. What if? But when shit actually hits the fan, my brain rallies. That's when it gets like, we're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be okay. It's meant to happen. You knew this was coming. Like, we'll figure it out. Like, there's always a way. It's a gift, you know. You're thinking of every movie scene, like Sound of Music. Whenever God closes a door, somewhere he opens a window. That's a terrible, terrible accent. But the whole fixing up your resume thing, ChatGPT has made that a much less painful process, but fuck. And then you go through this like weird morning, how like everything you were working on that you were stressing out over the last couple of weeks was a big waste of time because somebody knew that you weren't going to have a job and that all these fucking Excels and PowerPoints and shit were for nothing. Oh, so I'm just not going to see any of my friends again. Oh, okay. Oh, I need to get my shit from the office. Then you're like, insurance. You and all your laid off friends call each other and we all just say, I'm so sorry. And then you're like, I'm sorry too. It's just scary. So I welcome any words of encouragement. If you have any, maybe like and follow. And I don't know what that'll do for me, but maybe it will help somehow.
Why aren't more people talking about how 300,000 black women were laid off from their corporate jobs recently? I didn't even know this was a thing until I posted a video that I got laid off, and then a bunch of the comments were like, yeah, it's a war on black women right now. There's so many getting laid off. And I still didn't believe it, so I checked, and there's literally a whole Forbes article on this. Like, this is so scary and concerning.
I got laid off from my corporate job, my first corporate job, about 6 months ago. I want to say like maybe 4 or 5 months prior to that. They let us know that there would be layoffs, but never mentioned exactly when that was happening. We were very strategic with this entire process. And then it finally happened at the end of February. And now, today, they announced that they would be laying off 900 people tomorrow. I don't know what's worse, like working for months knowing that you could potentially not have a job, or like finding out today that tomorrow you could potentially not have a job. While the CEO is working from his remote office where he lives in Southern California. This company is such a joke, and I feel so bad for my old coworkers who are still there that are probably spiraling out of control right now because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But that just goes to show that your company, the company that you work for, doesn't give a shit about you. You're disposable. So make sure you are prioritizing yourself and like not giving all of you to a company who could easily just get rid of you the next day.
I got laid off yesterday and I'm literally shaking talking about this. I really debated whether or not I was going to even post about this, and I decided ultimately that this is probably a journey that I should share with you guys, especially because of the macroeconomic environment right now. There are a lot of layoffs happening, so if you have gone through a layoff recently, I'm right there with you. Majority of yesterday to obviously process what had happened, especially because it came out of nowhere. Absolutely no warning was provided. A meeting was just put on my calendar the day of for 3:30, and my manager and HR hopped on the call and they literally said, we're gonna have to let you go. We're tightening some things up. Surprisingly, I did not cry. It was obviously very disappointing, but honestly, I had felt like I was not in the right place for the majority of the past year that I had been in this job, but I had been pretty much trying to force it, and I think the universe was definitely just saying, Grace, it is time for you to move on. I also definitely had an identity crisis. If you guys know me, you know that I take a lot of pride and joy in my ability to be a really hard worker and a good worker as well. In the company that I was at previous to this company, I was a top performer. I literally closed 100% of my deals. Like, a big part of my identity, it does lie in being really good at my job. And I'm realizing that that's probably something that I should work to take out of my identity, because at the end of the day, we are so much more than our jobs. There is a saying that basically says, if a flower is not blooming, you don't change the flower, you move the environment that it's in. And I think the reason that I'm able to take this so calmly is because I know that something really amazing is about to come my way. I think that if something similar has happened to you, it's really important right now for you not to take this personally. It is not your fault if a company is not able to effectively manage their finances or has overhired or any other issues that ultimately trickle down to you being let go from the company. And I think that this is an important lesson that all of us are learning this year, and I'm definitely seeing a trend in all types of employees taking a lot of ownership in maintaining work-life balance and making sure that their job doesn't take up a majority of their life, which I personally love. If you guys have been following me in the past 2 months, you know that I have been taking a lot of intentional action to make sure that I'm building a consistent and disciplined lifestyle that aligns with the type of woman that I want to be. And this was just another aligned action that I unfortunately was not expecting at all to come my way. But I guess now I can look at it as a pleasant surprise. When something like this happens in your life and it makes you feel like you have officially hit rock bottom, you have a pivotal choice to make in this type of moment. You have the ability and the freedom in this moment to make a choice that comes next that will put you either in the right direction that you're supposed to go or keep you stagnant. I know I'm personally taking the next few days to really reflect on what I want for the rest of my life and make sure that whatever opportunity I take next really aligns with what I know I'm supposed to do. I'm really excited to see what comes next. I actually already have a couple of opportunities lined up, which I'm super grateful for, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm making the right decision for whatever comes next, because this past decision that I made obviously was not the best one that I should have taken on, but we live and we learn, and I'm super excited because I feel like the world is my oyster at this point. Like, I have the freedom to be able to make a really, really important decision, and that's not something that I'm taking lightly in any way. I will be sharing about this process because I think that it helps to be able to share and be able to connect with people who are also going through it. So if you are also going through something like this, feel free to send me a message. Let's talk about it. I've been talking with so many people over the past day, and it has helped a lot. So if anything, make sure that you reach out to your support system and do not try to take on this alone. It is very important for you to be supported, especially during a time like this.
So I'm seeing a bunch of people on LinkedIn be like, oh, the layoffs happened because AI is writing everyone's code. Are you guys dumb? Have you never written a line of code in your life? Like, this only makes you look more stupid. Do you think we were waking up being like, oh, we don't have work to do today because AI wrote all my code. Oh my God, I guess I'm just gonna chill and do nothing all day. No, we were all doing real work. Every single one of the 7,000 people that got laid off yesterday had a real job and woke up working on something, having a project in progress that was abruptly cut. Not even our managers, not even their managers knew. There was no planning ahead. This is nothing but a puppet show to drive stock prices up and down. This has nothing to do with AI taking over our jobs, and any company that tells you AI is writing this code is fucking lying to you. It can help us write code, but it is nowhere near a place where it can replace a software engineer, let alone 7,000. Don't be dumb.
35% of Google managers are gone. Guess micromanagement wasn't scalable. So at the recent town hall, guys, Google has announced that it is going to eliminate 35% of its middle management teams. And this brings up the discussion that all of us need to have about how many people can one person effectively manage. Now, I've been managing people since I had a full head of hair and it wasn't white. And I'll tell you that through all of my years, my opinion is that you can't manage more than 12 people effectively. 10 to 12 people is all really one person can handle. Now, you can have 120 people reporting to one person with several managers underneath them, but each individual manager all the way up in the chain should never have more than a dozen reporting to them. Why? Well, the truth is that first of all, you can't connect and maintain good relationships with more than a dozen people at a time. I've had up to 16 before, and that was too many. It was very difficult to manage. I kept missing stuff that I'd been able to catch easier if I had less folks. And the other part of it is that I'll age myself a little bit more here with this comment. There's an old expression called nipping things in the bud, meaning that if you start to see someone slip a little bit and you can catch it right away, you can usually turn them around and fix it with them if you can get on it soon enough. But if you can't, then things will start to slip to a point where people then get into the point of having write-ups, having to be counseled on stuff, having to eventually be terminated, all of that. So really, if you only have a dozen people underneath you, it's very easy to be able to check in with everybody every day, make sure everybody's doing good. Notice little differences, like if somebody might be having a hard time in their personal life, if somebody starts showing up late. You know, what happens with a lot of managers, guys, is they wait then until the person has 3 or 4 lates, and then all of a sudden they're writing them up, and they never sat down to have a conversation and said, Bob, hey, I know that you always work really hard for us. You usually have terrific attendance, and I noticed that you've been late a couple of days in the last 2 weeks. I just want to see, is everything okay at home, everything going all right? And what you might find out is like his car broke down and he's having to Uber in and he can't always get a reliable, ride to work. And now, have you waited till 3 or 4 times for that and then just wrote him up and been like, oh, he's being irresponsible? You never would have been able to form the kind of good relationship that you should have with your people as a manager to be able to catch that stuff by just asking a question when it was early enough. Not only that, but let's say you do a weekly team meeting every Monday at 10. Everybody gets on Google Meet, Zoom, Teams, whatever you have, or in person if you're in person. Just goes through everybody's weekends, talks about what they had last week, this week. Take a half hour just to get a sense of the team every week, like every single manager should be doing. You can't do that with more than a dozen people effectively. So I'll tell you that I think 12 people is the most people that one person should manage. But how many do you think anybody can effectively manage at this point? And do you think Google getting rid of so many managers at once, laying off 35% of their management staff, is actually going to be effective? Because I would say maybe 10 to 15% would be effective if they still have no more than 12 people per manager. But if you're going to say because it's a tech company that can go up to maybe 15 or something because of more automation, more AI, or maybe their jobs are just more technical, maybe that can work, but I don't think it works far beyond that. But what do you guys think? How many people can one person effectively manage?
They're showing us what's going to happen before it happens. They are preparing for a mass shutdown and layoff, okay? They have already sent agencies notifications and said, when we shut down this time, people aren't going on furlough, they're being fired. And they are not coming back. They are letting people know ahead of time. They want thousands of jobs cut in the government, which could be a good thing. And I work for the government. I'm working right now. Well, not really working because I work for the government, but if it shuts down, it's going to last a little while, and whatever happens is going to be way more permanent than it usually is. It's not going to be a shutdown for a couple of days and they pass something in the month and then we just keep chugging along. Things are about to change. Jobs are going to get cut, people are going to get fired, and those are going to be taken over by different agencies, by AI. Because we don't need certain jobs. We just don't.
I thought nursing in America had the greatest job security. Turns out I was wrong. A new hire who was training with us today actually told me she was laid off from Providence, along with multiple other nurses and a couple pharmacists back in July. And what's wild to me is this is not the first story of layoffs I've heard happening in healthcare. It seems to be happening all over the country. And I'm really curious to know, why is this happening?
This consulting company just laid off 7% of its workforce. If you haven't heard of Booz Allen or Booz Allen Hamilton, they're a large consultancy that does most of their work with the federal government. And as you know, with DOGE and other government efforts to reduce spending, a lot of these contracts with contractors like Booz Allen aren't getting renewed. And so a little cash strapped and also wondering how they pivot in the age of AI, Booz Allen is laying people off. which was once a strength and a moat of this business, being primarily known for working with the government, is now causing them to contract as they look to reevaluate a lot of those contracts. Let this be a reminder that in the age of AI, no job is safe, and you need to be really, really specific in terms of where you're going and making sure that that business and that industry has the outlook that you need to find success.
Starbucks is closing a bunch of stores and they are firing a bunch of people. Starbucks is closing a bunch of stores and they're firing a bunch of people. But I think there's something more we need to peel back behind the layer of this. We learned about this from CEO Brian Nichols, who, by the way, you would recognize from his time at Chipotle, where he effectively gaslit us about the size of portions. And there's a lot to unpack about this announcement about closing certain stores. But the first thing I would point out is that Starbucks is closing 1% of total stores. But 10% of the stores that are being closed are unionized stores. 1% of total, 10% of those are unionized. Interesting. But with the cost-cutting measures being implemented at Starbucks, I think it's important to talk about some things that Starbucks is spending its money on. For example, Brian Niccol, the new CEO of Starbucks, who came from Chipotle, chose not to relocate to Seattle. Instead, he commutes 1,000 miles from Newport Beach via a company jet multiple times per week. And while Niccol ordered people to return to work in the company's headquarters, Starbucks built a brand new office 5 minutes away from his house in Newport Beach. So when he's not on the jet, he's driving to the fancy new office that, by the way, has a $14,000 coffee machine. Brian Niccol, the CEO of Starbucks, made $96 million in 2024. That is 6,666 times the median pay of the average Starbucks employee. So when he's not commuting to Seattle in a private jet that the company pays for, he's working at an office that they built for him 5 minutes from his house, making 6,666 times more than the average Starbucks employee. And Starbucks is worried about cost, so it's closing stores. At the end of the day, Starbucks' success is probably less tied to store remodels or closing stores or which percentage of stores closed are unionized, and more tied to the fact that we're all struggling quite a bit. And no uniform changes or writing names on cups is going to alter the fact that our economy is really suffering. But the very wealthy among us seem to be doing just fine, and they increasingly demand more and more and more resources to make themselves comfortable while the working class suffers. Whether that's Chipotle or Starbucks, we pay the ultimate price.
Now, across industries, be it tech, retail, manufacturing, you name it, companies are laying off thousands of workers. And here's the kicker. Many of these corporations are still making huge profits. So why the cuts? Simple. To satisfy shareholders and fatten executive bonuses. We've all heard, the corporate lines like, we are a family. But the truth is, when it comes down to it, you're not a family. You're expendable. Workers who kept businesses running through crises, who gave everything they had, are being reduced to numbers on a spreadsheet. And while everyday people pack up their desks, CEOs celebrate efficiency. Efficiency. By the way, built on human suffering. Let's call it what it is. Corporate greed. Plain and simple. That's what it is. Now, these layoffs aren't just about jobs. They are about values. They are about a system where people are disposable, but profits are, sacred. And here's the question we all need to ask. How much longer are we willing to let corporations cash in while workers pay the prices? Because the truth is they need us more than we need them, actually. That's the truth. So you guys tell me what you think about this video. Drop your comments, keep it coming, and do well to like the video, share the video. Thank you for supporting me. And if you've not subscribed now, and credits to original creators, I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you.